Hi, everybody. Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. I want to bring you content pertaining to um, Cal City. I decided not to give any information pertaining to the children, month for month, which I had done that, but I was going to let it get to December. The children were still missing. Then I'd give an update around December 21st. If the children were still missing, then I'd bring an update. But News Nation now has commentary pertaining to the children. They've decided to do a missing persons um, special for people who are missing. You're welcome to go on their website and offer a person that you feel that they should discuss on their network pertaining to a missing person. And Cal City Boys are the two that they have decided to showcase, and I want to thank them for showcasing the boys. We really appreciate that. But I want to bring you content pertaining to the biological father of the children or child, whichever, has decided to come forward and speak to the public pertaining to his kids. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to hold this up a little bit. I find it very interesting. He's decided that he wants to speak. So right now I'm going to play you audio from my big boy back there, and we're going to roll with it. Thank you so much. We'll see what happens here. Hold on. Hope there's no commercials.
Advertisement 7
Yeah.
seconds. 7.
Of course. Always commercials. Sorry about that. Just a second till we get it rolling. Okay, hold on.
In California. It is part of our continuing Missing in America series here on Prime. Orrin and Orson West, brothers, vanished from the backyard of their family home just days before Christmas. That was 10 months ago. And since then, the search for the then 3 and 4-year-old boys has been relentless. News Nation's Nancy Liu is digging into their case and the investigation into their disappearance. And she is joining us live tonight with their story. Nancy.
Marnie, a prayer gathering is underway right now here in Bakersfield because today marks exactly 10 months since Orrin and Orson West were reported missing. But even before, these young boys, these toddlers, they had gone through a lot of change in their lives, much of it in foster care. Their most recent stop was allegedly at a home in California City.
Not a good feeling. It's not nothing that you want to just sit up and think about all the time. You got to make yourself think about something different, positive, something happy, something better.
Biological father Charles Pettis is racked with heartache. In an exclusive interview, Pettis talks publicly for the first time about the mysterious disappearance of 4-year-old Orrin and his 3-year-old brother Orson.
They might not remember me, but I remember them. So, no matter how long it takes, how hard it's going to be, I will never give up.
It's been 10 months since the brothers were reported missing from this home in California City. It was around 5 p.m. on December 21st, and Christmas was close. Adoptive father Trezell West says the boys were outside that afternoon playing with a family dog named Chalk.
She's actually let me get some dogs that they go outside and play with Chalk in that patio.
West claims he checked on the boys when he went out to get firewood.
Came in the house, saw them there. Went in the house, came back out, I didn't see him there. I immediately went back in, asked my wife, did you see the boys? She said no, they should be outside playing with Chalk. I didn't see them, so I came back outside and I started searching my backyard. I searched the whole thing.
The boys were gone, and West says he realized he had left the back gate open. The West spoke with local media 2 days after they called police, but they have not commented publicly since.
I don't want you guys thinking we didn't try. We actually looked before we called
Police were called around 6 p.m. Soon after, the neighborhood and the West home were thoroughly searched. The West eventually had their 2 biological and 2 other adoptive children removed from their care. And in March, Bakersfield police took over the investigation due to more resources and family ties on both sides.
It's a puzzle, and there are key pieces that are missing. And we are using every legal means to figure out what happened and get the facts and circumstances behind what occurred.
Police admit to withholding over 90% of the evidence in this case to protect their investigation. And while the Wests aren't speaking with the media, police say they remain in contact with the Wests.
It's one of those situations where you open a door and that door leads to another hallway, which leads to another hallway, which leads to another hallway. So we haven't reached the end of our journey yet.
The boys were born as Sincere and Classic. Their biological parents lost custody in 2018 due to a suspect leg injury, which relatives insist was not inflicted.
They took my family. They took my life away from me. My kids is my life. That's my family.
Biological cousin Rosanna Wills is among the loved ones convinced the boys were never in Cal City. The Wests had moved into the home in September and reported the boys missing just 3 months later.
Something happened.
The Wests had moved away, but are said to return periodically to check on the home. They have not attended any of the prayer gatherings or recent searches.
But we're the only ones out here, including the supporters, who are pushing for the boys. We haven't heard nothing from their side of the family, the adopted family.
There is a hefty reward in the case, and it's hoped more national awareness will bring the boys home.
So many other kids have coverage, but these 2 boys didn't from day one. I don't feel like they're deceased. I feel like somebody have them, and it might not be in California. But I don't know.
Well, I have children. I have 3, and most people have children. Most people, we don't expect anybody's child to go missing and just disappear.
Jennifer Nobles has generously made sure that billboards and banners featuring the boys are widely disseminated, even though the only available photos are well over a year old.
Even if they're a little bit old, I hope there's some feature, that they see on their face, their nose, or their lips, or their eyes, or anything that just stands out to them that makes them question, could that be, one of the boys? Could it be? Just possibly.
There is a secret witness line just for this case. That number is 661-322-4040. The family and Bakersfield police implore anyone with information from before or after the boys disappeared to please call. Marnie?
Just vanished. Nancy, police aren't saying too much about their investigation all these months later. Can we read anything into what they have revealed and shared so far?
Well, there is a clear indication. The switch from Cal City Police to Bakersfield Police indicates that the heart of the case is here. Cal City is 70 miles away. Did something happen here in Bakersfield before that family moved to Cal City? We were out there yesterday. We talked with a neighbor who said he never saw those boys in Cal City. He also never heard children playing in that backyard. You would hear children squealing or laughing or talking to each other. He said he heard none of that.
So much heartbreak for this family and for the friends who you interviewed. We've covered a lot of missing persons cases, generally adults. When a child goes missing, it is even more heartbreaking and harder, I would imagine, for police to search for little boys like Oren and Orson.
Absolutely harder, because adults, we have a digital trail. We have our cell phones. We have computer searches. We have acquaintances that they can talk to. These are little boys. They didn't have any phones. They may not also have memories of their early lives, and they're physically smaller. So finding them is so tough. Hopefully they are together out there somewhere.
I share in that hope. They are babies, and they also don't know how to ask for help if something happens to them. Nancy Liu, live in California. Nancy, thank you. This past 4 weeks, we have brought you each and every story, these important stories. Daniel Robinson, Lauren Cho, Kira Coles, Najib Monsif, Alicia Navarro, and now these little West boys. Every missing person matters, and if you have a family member or a loved one who is missing, or you know of a case you think we should be looking into, you can suggest a case on our website at newsnationnow.com/missing.
All right. That's that information. News Nation Now is the source. Woo, excuse me. So much wrangling and everything. I'm going to try to be diplomatic with my commentary. Because as of late, I've been very moody about these stories. And this is just another story that as most of you know, December 21st, 2021 will mark a year that the children have been missing, if indeed they're still missing by December. I find it interesting that Mr. Charles has decided to come forward. What I would like to know is, why have you decided now, Charles, to speak? In my opinion, I don't feel like you're any better than the West as far as coming forward at this point, because we're talking about almost a year. It's now November, and you're just now speaking, a few weeks ago with the news about your missing children. So why now say anything? You've had ample enough time to talk to the public, the news, newspapers, social media, whomever, about your children. And this is why a lot of people felt like many people did not care about the children. As you've heard in this commentary, that Rosanna has been the mouthpiece for the biological side, whichever side you want to consider the biological, for the children. As you see, she spoke in this interview. So you have this relative, Miss Rosanna. You have now the father, Mr. Charles, coming forward. Okay, he was in jail. Okay, well, you still can have someone speak on your behalf. Doesn't matter if you're in jail or not. People in jail have people who speak for them. Besides that, I'm not even getting ready to get into all that. Has he been in jail for 10 months? Like I said, ample enough time to get someone to speak on your behalf, to bring forth information that you would like to relate to the public pertaining to your children. I just find it baffling that he has not spoken via himself or via a mouthpiece for him. The West, they're trifling. We're letting this go on this long without talking to the news further. The bio mom, same thing. She fell off early on, spoke maybe 2 times to the news, 2 or 3 times to the news, of the national news, and gave her opinion pertaining to the children. After that, she fell off. Okay? Many rumors circulating between the bio fathers, different people who could have the children, where the children could possibly be. Lots of BS that has come about pertaining to these children. And that is the reason why these cases get out of control, because of all the rumors and rhetoric of the people's past and how they were living. One thing I did not like in this piece is the fact that the family has the nerve to say that the wound was not inflicted, the injury was not inflicted to the child's leg. Well, explain to me how a femur can be broken on an infant. The child was an infant, one of the boy children. How do you crack, whichever word you like to use, a femur? It is the hardest bone in the body. And to even say that on national TV is a disgrace to the boys, disrespectful to the boys, and disrespectful to anyone that's sane. You can't even break the femur without it being intentional, or your ass fell out of a fucking window. Yeah, I said that. You fell out of a window, a high-rise building, 3rd, 4th floor perhaps, then you broke your femur, your leg, your ankle, if you understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to ask you, whoever you are that wanted to put this so-called comment out there in the public that the injury wasn't inflicted, then who did it and how did it happen? Since it wasn't a human that did it, because basically that's what you're saying, then how did it happen? How did the femur get cracked? What was the issue with the other children being removed by the biological mother, from the biological mother? Why 4 different children are not in this woman's care? You see, you have to go back to the beginning, because as I say to everyone, everything you need to know about a story is at the beginning. There is no middle. There is no halfway through a story. It's at the beginning of the story is where you get the vital information pertaining to the who's, the where's, the why's, the what is. I find it baffling that there haven't been any other relatives that vied for the children, spoke publicly for the children, on behalf of the children. Besides the adoptive parents and their extended family, you got the adoptive grandparents spoke to the national news one time. But after that, nothing. No other biological family has ever come forward to speak after Miss Rosanna. And I find this sickening. No grandparents of the biological children. Where are you? Why haven't you spoken? Why haven't you rallied with these other people in the community when all these people were gathering outside of the home in Cal City? Where were you? Where are you now? Where's the biological mother? Why weren't you in this interview? Why haven't you been talking? Why haven't you been standing outside the billboards when they were going live and showing that the billboards were put up? Never saw you, never heard anything from you. Rumors that you were pregnant here as of late. Another child on the way, perhaps? Or was that just a rumor? See, this is what I'm talking about. The utter buffoonery that should be about these kids. One person doing all the talking for these children, which to me is baffling. That these children have biological fathers, and mother, relatives, grandparents, and none of these people have come forward to speak. Do you know how lame this story is to be talking about 2 missing Black babies? And there's not but one person speaking basically on behalf of these children for fucking 10 months. And I don't mean to throw shade at Miss Rowe, but you understand what I'm saying? It's sad to me that she was the only person speaking up. So people are going to talk. People are going to judge. Why would they not judge? They're wondering, like, okay, where are these children's family? Where are their family members? You know, we just found a dead kid in Texas inside of an apartment, mummified for a fucking year. Damn near a year. The fact that this case got moved in March of this year from Cal City to Bakersfield. What does that mean? What did the LE learn to move the case over to another jurisdiction? Do they believe that the children went missing from Bakersfield and not Cal City? There has to be a reason that the case was moved, logically speaking. The ball was dropped from day one, from inception of these children. They didn't have a chance at survival, and that is the reason why we're discussing them now on a national platform. It's because they didn't have a chance. And it's sad to come in the world not knowing the people that are bringing you here, not knowing that they're going to fail you and throw you out to the wolves for other people to pick up the slack, but then they drop the ball and then you go missing, and God forbid, dead. Where are these children? When I heard Trezell talking about the chalk, I had to jog my memory back and say, chalk. Oh, that's when the rumor started about the dog. Because at first we thought he was speaking of chalk, you know, what children play with. What is the truth? Were the children ever there? Were they outside playing with the dog? Were they even outside playing at all? Ante up the odds of a stranger going into a backyard, several yards into the yard, feet rather, to kidnap 2 baby boys without the children making a sound, exiting out of the yard with the 2 children without leaving a trace of foot marks, drag marks, car marks, bicycle marks, wagon marks. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do the stats. It is rare. People tend to steal 1 person at a time, not 2. You steal 2 people, 2 children, 9 times out of 10, you have help. And the only way you would steal 2 small children is if you had access to them by yourself, alone, time to get rid of them, scoop them up, and get them out of the way without being detected. This is a baffling case out of California. You hear of a lot of children going missing, a lot of children being kidnapped, custodial kidnapping, but rarely do you hear of a story of children missing in a far-off town, newly moved there, no sights, no nothing, grainy video that was uploaded to social media of the parents, the adoptive parents, getting into a vehicle with only 4 children instead of 6. What is the truth to that video? The timeline of that video. Was it only 4 children that ever made it to Cal City in the first place? There was never 6, only 4. And as most of you know, all 4 children were removed from the West home, biological and foster care. They also mentioned in this commentary that they still have that house and they go back frequently to check on the house. And as you saw in the video, the house is boarded up. If it's still boarded up, I do not know, but that is just what was shown in this said piece here. So that means you still are paying the note on the house. Are you not? Or you bought it outright? Which is it? You still have to keep water on, lights on, in case you decide you want to return. So what are these two doing now, Jacqueline and Giselle West? Are they working? Are they viable human beings going about their daily life, living as normal citizens, but set the hell with their adoptive children? We won't talk about them. We won't speak about them. And see, that leads me to believe they did something to those boys. Because when a person decides to stop speaking about someone that is currently missing, allegedly, that leads me to believe you never cared for the person, and you are indeed the person that got that person and or persons gone permanently. Be it by selling them, bartering them, or you murdered them. I call a spade a spade. We do not even know how long the children have been actually missing from Bakersfield, if indeed this is what law enforcement suspects about the children, that they went missing from Bakersfield instead of Cal City. So now we have to ask ourselves, when was the last time that the West had custody of the children, had them living in their home? What is the truth? Will we ever find out the truth to what happened to the children? How long the West had them living in their home? I have this sick feeling that the children went missing the previous holiday, not 2020, but perhaps before. I got a feeling possibly Thanksgiving 19, when they last had photos uploaded to social media via the brothers Jamal's Facebook page. And if I'm to believe that he's the only one that had recent photos of the children, that would tell you the story that the children had been gone for some time and possibly no longer alive. Because these are the things that people do to people and children when they have rid of them permanently. They remove all personal belongings of the said person. They get rid of all said photographs, anything on social media, any personal belongings, as to rid themselves of the person entirely. It has been done, and people will continue to do it, because I no longer want to look at you, anything about you, because I no longer want you around. So why would I keep your personal effects, photographs of you? I don't want any memory of you. And I believe this is what has happened to these poor babies. They never stood a chance. They came into the world in a place that they didn't send for the biological parents. And I'm going to hold my ground about these biological family members till the day I leave here. No one cared for them. No one gave a fuck about these babies, because if had someone cared about the Cal City boys, we wouldn't be talking about them. And right now they would be going to school and being productive small children, having a chance at life. But they were not afforded that because somebody didn't give a damn about them. And as I said, to sit up on a national platform such as News Nation Now and tell these damn people that they don't believe that the injuries were inflicted, yet the state removed each child at a different time. 4 children by this woman, female, removed at separate times. Older children living with the biological fathers. And these 2 small children entered into the state's custody. And you want to tell News Nation Now that you don't believe the injuries are inflicted. So you're basically saying a child cracked his own damn leg. That's what you're telling the world. Yet the children went into the state's care, meaning the state found fault with something done to the children deliberately. And know that the doctor made the initial calls before the state was ever called In each case pertaining to the boy children, stay woke. Call a spade a spade. Stop making excuses for this biological mother and baby fathers. Mr. Charles, where were you day one when the children went missing? Jail or no jail, you could have had a mouthpiece on your behalf. There are no excuses. Ryan Dean, same thing. You fell off, sloughed off shortly after coming forward pertaining to your children. You ran out of breath to Cal City to let the world know you were the biological mother, but yet you fell off and you prefer to post to social media about being this and that and a parent and this. Well, where were you when they needed you? Where were your mother, your father? Where are the biological father's parents? Where is everybody but Roe? You all are despicable. And to sit there and throw that lame shit out on that news that a child hurt his own self? Well, then that means a doctor don't know his game or her game. And they went to medical school for nothing to say that a human inflicted the injury to the infant. So I guess you also want the public to believe the second boy child stopped his own lungs from functioning. Is that what you're saying? Because you didn't speak about that in this piece with the second boy child. What happened to his itty bitty lungs at birth? So we're not talking about a femur on this one. What happened to the other boy child's lungs for him to go into the state's care and stay in the NIC unit for 3 weeks without the loving touch and feel of his mother, father, auntie, cousin, grandmama, friend? Yeah, you left that out. I'm a ride or die for any child abused, neglected, or murdered. And I will never uphold no motherfucker with 2 feet that fell off for no damn reason. Because, as I state, many people cannot raise their children for various reasons. And that's when you hand the baton to somebody that can do it. And I find it awfully strange that none of her biological children, Miss Dean, ever went to a family member. Don't you find that baffling? So Mr. Charles comes forward, but where were all of you when the children needed a home, when the state decided to step in on behalf of the small boys? And luckily, the older children, by the grace of God, had fathers to take the older 2 children in. Amen. And thank you for stepping up to take in your children. Because God forbid, we could also be speaking of a harrowing story pertaining to Miss Dean's older children. 10 months later, the biological father decides to speak to the public, and we have no information pertaining to the whereabouts of the Cal City boys, where they are, where they can be located, if they are living with someone. The reward is at $122,000. Don't you think by now somebody would come forward to claim that money, to tell the truth? I'll wait. You see, everything you need to know is at the beginning of the story. And I don't deal in Illuminati's, witchcraft, crystal balls. I deal in reality, and I deal in statistics. I deal in data, and I deal in common sense and logic. That 9 times out of 10, a child is missing because of his parents and or family members. It is a rare occurrence that a child is kidnapped by an outside stranger. And in this case, the odds are against the 2 that they were kidnapped by a stranger. 9 times out of 10, someone close to the children got them gone, missing, sold, however you want to word it. And the fact that there's no trail, that the information from law enforcement can come forward to say to the whereabouts of the children will lead you to think the children are no longer alive. And the FBI will tell you that when there's nothing to tell you, it is usually rare. that we have nothing to tell you, such as with the Summer Wells case. I'm sure they have information. Cal City, Bakersfield, but they have decided not to give that information to the public as to preserve the investigation. What information they have, I do not know. What devices have brought forth information, cell phones, iPads, computers, I do not know. But I pray that one day that they will feel free and trust the public to bring us information to something that can locate these children and a culprit and or culprits in the disappearance of the Cal City brothers. They were failed miserably. Thank you so much, honey. Thank you, Flora. The children were failed. And by the grace of God, the other two children had a chance at survival. They had a chance. But these two babies did not. And I also want to pray for the West's other children. Because in the end, whether it was an act of favoritism while they got rid of the small children, children being rambunctious, too much to handle, they still gave birth, procreated two other children. So that means they still weren't fit for those said children. And if we have to believe that they murdered these Cal City boys, they're unfit to be parents to the biological children and the two foster care children. So the state did right to get rid of all the children, remove them out of their care. Amen. And we also have to pray that the children are in loving homes and they will not succumb to the madness of what has happened to the Cal City boys. Because that is the sick part of this story. It's that these children grew up in a house somewhere, pillar to post, with other children that were their siblings, all separated cruelly because their mother decided they were not worthy of love, affection, attention, dedication. Also, biological fathers failed them as well. I call a spade a spade. Then they go into the system to only go missing by Jacqueline and Trezell, who cry and moan as if it's nothing, said their piece, and never spoke of the children again. Don't you find that strange? Biological mother hasn't spoken since winter, and we're at winter again. Only one family member stood up and spoke for the children, and I find that baffling. When you have all these people standing around a tree in the beginning, hovering as if they were in unison and unity for these kids, yet there was only one family member that spoke up on behalf of the biological father's side. And shortly after, the biological mother fell off. And then yet you all want to tell me what I can say about the biological mother and family pertaining to the Cal City boys. I really didn't have to say anything. They said enough already. You've let me know, and the public, you never gave a damn about those babies. And that is the reason why they ended up in the state's care. And the fact that News Nation now has picked up this story, and they're even saying it in their own commentary. Where has everybody been? Where is the adoptive parents? Where are they? Where are they? Their family members. Why aren't they talking to the public? Why aren't they giving updates? Why aren't they searching? Mr. Charles, where are you searching right now? Where could you possibly search in a barren land for two small babies when the fucking law enforcement don't even know where they are? California is a big state. The biggest state in the union, besides Texas. So I ask you, where can you possibly look for the Cal City brothers? If you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Thank you for the super chat, sweetheart. God bless all of you. Stay safe. This is a horrible story out of California, like all the other stories that you keep hearing. And it just goes to show you that everybody's not meant to have children. Everybody's intention isn't genuine to take in children. And unfortunately, for these two small babies, they were failed miserably from the womb to foster care and adoption. If you see something, say something. Don't let this be another story to reveal to the public of what you saw after the fact. Because possibly had someone spoken up about something they saw that wasn't proper with the West and all of their children, we wouldn't be talking about two small itty bitty spiders today. And when we talk about what the neighbors saw in Cal City as far as children not playing in the backyard, not hearing children, how do you even know which child you're speaking of? There were 6 allegedly. And if you don't know the children personally, how do you know who you're speaking of? And then the flip side is, if you never heard any children playing in the yard, front and back, you never saw children going in and out, then where were all 4 children if 2 never made it to Cal City? Where were the 4? Where were they? Held up inside? Why? See, that's what you have to ask yourself. Why did they move to Cal City with the kids? What was the reason? Was the bang on its way and they decided to get out of Dodge because they knew the bang was coming? And that was the ultimate reason for making the 911 call on December 21st, 2020, to get the ball rolling, because you knew the bang was coming and you had to have some reason to say those kids were not in your possession, Jacqueline and Trezell West. I know fakery and fuckery when I see it, and I can smell it a mile away. You two did something to those boys, and you hatched this plan on December 21st, 2020, because you knew the cavalry was on its way. And somebody came a-knocking, and somebody came a-looking, and somebody was on their way, and you hatched this plan. But you see, God knows all. So even if law officials never come forward with any information pertaining to these babies, God knows the truth. And hopefully in time, he will reveal the truth. And you will stand account for what you did to those babies. And every motherfucker that failed them and walking around like their shit don't stink and they ain't done nothing and they haven't repented for mistreating their damn kid, you gonna pay too. Because see, the one thing I haven't heard from any of you, are you listening? I'm sorry for failing you as a parent. I'm sorry as a grandparent for not doing my best to get custody of you. I'm sorry you went into foster care and was adopted by these 2 empty vessels and now missing. I'm sorry I didn't do enough. That's the one thing I have not heard from any biological family member, that you're sorry. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Prayers for the Cal City boys. Thank you.